Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today, I have the pleasure to interview the #1 producer for EWM in 2014 with over $140 million in sales. Esther Percal is a seasoned veteran of the real estate industry, over 38 years in the business. The insights and the information you're about to hear, it's priceless. She talks about starting very, very small. First of all, she says, there is a huge market on the $250,000, $300,000 properties that a lot of agents are not paying attention to. Start very small, not only in prices, but in the area. Start with one building, getting to know one building. Then expand your knowledge to 2 buildings, then 3, 4 buildings until you get to know your block. Then you can expand to 2 blocks, 3 blocks, but make sure you become an expert and, more important, focus, focus, focus. Esther says it in the interview. She says, I've turned down $15 million residential listings because it was not in my area, right? Esther has so many advices, not only for the experienced and top producer, but also for new real estate agents. I hope you enjoy this wonderful interview as much as I did. Make it a very, very productive day. Take care, guys.
This week's featured property is an ultra-modern 2-story, 74-feet waterfront home built in 2010. Located at 5245 Pine Tree Drive in Miami Beach, the property features over 8,000 square feet of open living areas, a vast living, dining, and family room, semi-private kitchen opening directly to the pool patio area, 5 bedrooms, 5 full baths, powder room, separate guest house, boat dock plus patio, and rooftop terrace. This wonderful estate also features smart home Creston system, elevator, full home generator, and one-of-a-kind exotic stone finishes. For more information, contact top producer Esther Percal at 305-674-4022.
Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today I have the true pleasure to interview Esther Percal. Esther, thank you very much for having me in your beautiful building, an amazing building in Miami Beach.
Thank you.
It's a true honor. Top producer. I know you don't like to talk about that, and you don't even care about the numbers, but you were the top producer for 2014 with EWM, one of the biggest and most important companies in Miami. So I want to get started again. Thank you very much. And how long have you been in the business? How did you get started in real estate, and why real estate?
I've been in the business now about 38 years. Why real estate? It's what I always loved to do. I don't know why I would ride my bike through neighborhoods when I was young and just look at houses. And how did I get started? I got started as basically a translator.
Okay.
Bookkeeping, assistant, secretary. I was a jack of all trades, but really my job turned out to be translating in a resale and rental office in Brickell Avenue that was kept in one of the condo buildings that was bought by the only developer at the time on Brickell Place, where a lot of Venezuelans and Colombians were buying multiple units.
How were they buying those units, by the way?
They were buying those units based on what their friends bought. So they would come in and they'd ask, how many did my friend buy? 2? Then I'll take 3. How big were my friends? 1 bedrooms? I want 3 bedrooms. It was very competitive.
I'm still the same way today.
Really?
Huh? Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah,
yeah, it's a competitive group. So we were given the extra units to rent and to manage.
Okay.
And then the tenants were, the drug scene of the 80s and late 70s in Miami. So, all the, Cuban guys with multiple fancy cars and Colombians with, fake names that years later you found out, like, the person, as Joe Blow is now Pedro Sanchez, And so, because I grew up in Miami Beach in a time when Spanish was not spoken as much as it is now, my Spanish was really bad, but nobody knew it because I worked for an American lady that didn't speak Spanish. So I would collect the rents. I would send letters updating the owners on the rent or whatever. And when I look at some of those letters that I found years later, it was like appalling what I was writing. It was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. And then all day long, when somebody either came to buy a resale unit or didn't speak English, I would accompany the boss to translate. And luckily, again, she didn't know what I was saying.
So the person was like your mentor at the time?
She was my mentor in many, many ways, because I was like a parrot all day long, you know? And so I was just repeating what she was saying. And she was really an amazing woman in that, I don't know how old she was at the time. You know, when you're in your 20s, you look at somebody and you think, you know, if they're 40, they're all 60 or 50. So, but I know she was very aware of the fact that she was getting old and very freaked out by that, which it's sad, but it was what it was. And she did teach me a lot.
Okay.
And
what did you learn in specific, 2 or 3 things that you learned from that experience, working with somebody with, you know, with the knowledge in the market, which you didn't have at the time?
Well, you know, you learn your basic tools. You know, you learn how to, you know, at the time it was a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. So, you know, you learn to point out that you walk in and you point out, you know, what you know about it. That this is marble at the time, that this was the, you know, newest and latest edition stove or fridge. And then you learn to shut up.
Oh.
And, you know, many times, and she would just say, like, okay,
learn to stop talking.
To stop talking. And, you know, us, especially when you're talking, you know, the Latins keep talking, you know, and she goes like, shut up, you know, get back. Okay, so you learn to shut up, and you learn not to give an opinion, and you learn to, like, you know, just because this view sells better or worse, at some point, you do use the tools. When there's someone, well, I don't know this, if I like this view or that view, then you certainly, yes, this view sells better than the other view. Or the other one, but you listen and you be quiet and you learn, you know, like, don't be the last to speak. Listen and you present it, and then, you know. And to this day, you know, I go through a house and you go through the whole house and you point out the things that you see or you don't see. And then you just say, you know, now that I've shown you the house, you know, feel free to walk through on your own, and you sit back and you relax.
So, you know, Esther, that's a great point. Most of us real estate agents want to say all we know, all we've done, right? I'm a top producer, I've been in the business for 20 years. I know this, I know that. And we fail to listen to our clients, right? And it's never about us, it's always about them.
I gotta tell you, I mean, to me it's a little, let's use the word embarrassing. You know, like I don't use a lot of the tools that I should be using. Like, I know, you know, a lot of people die for, like, the title senior vice president, and I'm the senior vice president of it. And, you know, I walk out nine times out of 10, and they go, you should have told them you're the senior vice president. Or I go with Cindy, my associate, she, Esther's the senior vice president of EWM. Or like, you know, I've been in this business long enough to be the #1 top producer for umpteen years over, and some years not, some years, and I never pay attention. But lately, you know, with social media, everybody's tooting their own horn. Even at Instagram, sometimes I look and this guy will say the #1 team. What do you mean the #1 team? You haven't sold jack shit in this city. But they're the #1 team, and they got more followers than the #1 team. And coming in hot, and I'm the, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And I maybe can say it, but I don't. But because of this whole thing, over the past few years, you know, when somebody becomes #1, it's like all over. So now my team, because now we're into teams, and I am very, you know, I'm giving back, I'm teaching them, I'm mentoring them, and there's, you know, what do you call it, marketing companies, and so on and so forth. Like, you've got to go out and say it, and then you go out on the street and somebody goes, oh my God, you were #1, and I want to, like, crawl, I want that grip to open, I want to hide. Like, I don't want to talk about this, it's like embarrassing. But everybody's very now me, but you're absolutely right. They don't give a crap about you.
They don't.
And people walk in selling themselves constantly, and that's not what this is about.
So, what is it about? What made you so successful during this 38 years? If you have to describe the successful traits that made you number one, right? What are they?
I work really, really hard.
Right. This is not a part-time job.
No, this is a full-time job.
Right.
And I work really, really hard,
Okay.
and I really, really know my market.
When you say work hard, define working hard. It's just the time you get up, the time you get to the
Well,
office.
like the other day, okay, for example, like at 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know, I was up because I go to bed late and I don't sleep a lot, but some client sends me an email. He's in London.
Okay.
So my 2 o'clock is what, 7, 8 o'clock for him? Well, you know, this whole communication, text, email thing, what this really has done is that you gotta, I'm into responding right away.
Okay.
And so right away I responded because you know what? There were 2 offers on a very expensive house. I had sent an email at like whatever, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock my time when I got it. And at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock when he woke up, he was asking clarifications on the second offer. Now you're talking about a $20-something million sale.
By the way, I know you don't like to talk about numbers. What some of the highest sales you've done in residential are how much?
I think right now we're gonna hit 32.
$32 million.
I guess, yeah, a couple of weeks ago it would have been 30.
Here in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like 30 is becoming the new 20.
Now, but a lot of people work hard, all right? But they don't achieve the level of success you've achieved.
I have a really good reputation.
Okay,
And I don't think that you're gonna find one person that has anything negative to say about me. And
I couldn't. I wasn't looking for it.
No, but you won't.
Okay.
And I think in 38 years in this career, that's a a big time achievement. I don't want to put anybody down, but my colleagues, but I don't think there's one of them that has my reputation. And you know, 38 years, you meet a lot of people know you, you know your market. They know you're there, you respond. We're in a service business, and a lot of it is repeat clientele. And a lot of it is focusing on my market. I don't try to go and overtake other markets.
Very good.
Like, I mean, listen, if it's big enough and it's a client, fine. But, you know, I got a call the other day, some guy in Key Biscayne, $18 million house. Not interested. Not my market. Go talk to my friend Brigitte. Go talk, not my market. Not my market. And
that's such a key point. It's so difficult to compete if you are not an expert. When you're trying to be everything in every single area.
Yeah, people get really greedy and lose their focus.
And they can serve the client. And they can compete with the real experts in their very specific niche. Actually, if you look at the work of most top producers, they focus not only in an area, in a very specific area within that area.
Yeah.
So, how do you keep in touch with your clients? I mean, how do you follow up?
It's changing.
Right?
It's changing. I guess nowadays it's really email.
Okay.
And so I don't like to bother them too much.
Okay.
Although, nowadays we get emails like 400 or 500 emails of just advertising or promoting, or I sold. I get a little embarrassed to send people I sold. It's like, So, you stay, I try to do it more on a one-to-one.
Okay.
Like, whatever, Mr. Martin, I haven't heard from you in years, how are you doing?
Okay.
And they're always happy to hear. Or yesterday, for example, it's very funny, there's this French girl, and I don't know how old she must be now, but let's say she's pushing 40.
Okay.
And I think about 25 years ago, her father bought a couple of houses on the beach. And I remember him coming to see the houses with his 3 young daughters, that at the time might have been 15, 18, 19. And he passed away. And, very wealthy man, owns a hotel, bought a house on the water. And about a year ago, she called me to pick my brain. and I went to the hotel, and I didn't sell them the hotel, I had sold them the house. She said, you know, my father said that to always call on you. And we looked at a lot of houses, and he said, don't, just call Esther. Just call Esther, just call Esther. I'm not going to tell you what he said about the other one. You can imagine. So I called her, and yesterday, and she says, she answers the phone, and she goes, you're going to have a long life. I go, what do you mean I'm going to have a long life? She goes, because just yesterday I was talking about you.
Oh.
So, you know, you stay in people's radar, and I think also, like, thought provokes reality.
Right.
And we hadn't talked in 3 or 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And I was calling to see, what are you doing with the house, blah, blah, blah. And she had just been thinking about me. So I think it's really the phone call.
Right.
And one of the problems we have today, I think, with the whole new generation of ways to communicate, like I am used to, when I'm making a deal, I am constantly on the phone with you. You're in my life, you're in my soup, you're in my toilet, you're in my kitchen. We're talking.
Right. Until the day is...
Yeah. Now, in order to talk to somebody, you have to send a text to find out if you can talk.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Okay, I like that.
What do you mean? Oh, can you talk? I'll call you in an hour. An hour may be too late, like this is, and then it's texting and texting and texting, and I can't
That
talk, and I will
cost you-
talk. That's not how we make deals.
No.
We make deals talking, communicating, because you really don't know that teeny bit of information that you find redundant. No, because Esther, you know what? The client doesn't like the carpeting on the floor. That might seem stupid, but that may close your deal. Or my client saw an apartment and he was willing to sell for $2 million, but now the apartment is 2.1 and he doesn't know because the carpeting, and maybe your buyer sells carpeting or his brother sells carpeting and they give him the free carpeting and you make the deal. What do you want me to pull over and start telling you no, they don't like the carpeting? It's bullshit, but little things
matter.
Make the engine come together. But now it's texting. Can you talk? Can you talk? No, I can't talk. Okay, well, you know what? Just went through it. The guy went incomunicado. He couldn't talk. It was text. You know what? I told him, you're going to lose the sale. We have another buyer. 2 days later, he resurfaces. You know what, baby? The house is gone. And all your text and BS. You know, at the end of the day, too, Miami is a really strange town. And everybody comes to Miami to reinvent themselves.
That's a good point.
And you don't really know sometimes who you're dealing with. And a lot of these brokers, you know, get all hyped up with these clients that come in, you know, 15 million, 20 million. And they have very little knowledge of how to handle it. A lot of the times they're not real buyers. A lot of the times you're spinning wheels. Listen, I can smell crap when I walk in through the door, so I know when I'm looking at somebody. Of course, some people do fool me because this is, you know.
And how do you see Miami, the real estate market in Miami, for the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's probably going to go do the same thing it always does. It goes up and down. I don't know that we're going to have a huge drop. There's a lot of construction going on. But you see that it always happens in Miami.
Well, it's a cyclical market. You know, real estate is cyclical. Industry is everywhere in the world. You know?
Yeah. And the thing with Miami, if you notice, is that Miami sort of drops when the whole world's coming down. We drop at the end and we pick up at the beginning because we depend on some strange new door that opens.
Right.
You know, back then it was the Venezuelans, then it was the Brazilians.
Right.
For years, the Brazilians and the Argentinians had no money.
Right.
Now they're the wealthiest.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys, the Venezuelans, are the poorest. So go figure. Tomorrow might be the Cubans.
Right.
And then we have the Germans. Now there's not so many Germans. Now there's a lot of Brits, a few Italians.
What do you see that the Americans coming to Miami?
And the Americans.
That's a huge
America.
That's a big difference that I see now in the Miami real estate market. It's a real need to live here, no taxes, real entertainment, nightlife, restaurants. I mean, it's this. The market.
The Americans started buying. I want to tell you, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that's our market. Now you're getting people from Texas. The New Yorkers have come and gone, but New Yorkers are, you know.
What they buy is just
Yeah,
amazing, huge.
Huge, and they got their own plane, so they're
Right.
here. Yeah, a lot of New York money.
Now, you've been in the business for 38 years, and you know, on the way to the top, I know you had some challenges and failures. One that stands out that you said, wow, this was a huge failure, but I learned way more from it. Something that stands out.
Listen, I guess every time you sort of, you know, lose a deal, lose a client, it's a failure. And it's funny because when the market was very bad, about 3 or 4 years ago.
Like in 2009, 10.
Yeah. And as you know, I opened the consignment store Las Dias.
Las Dias, of course.
And Las Dias was because I invested in a building with a couple of partners in Wynwood, which was on its way up, full speed.
It still is.
And one of the partners worked Wynwood. And
Okay.
so we invested in this building, I think it was, I don't know, $1.6 million.
Okay.
And we're in real estate.
All right.
And we had to pay the mortgage.
Right.
And real estate was not producing what, you know,
Right.
we needed. So I opened the store, which became, you know, consignment furniture store. The place got full of furniture to begin with because I have all these clients and they know I own the building and can you hold the couch, can you hold the this, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, I'm becoming storage.
Okay.
So we opened the store and the store paid rent and the rent helped pay the mortgage, and it also turned out to be a little bit therapeutic because I had nothing to do and I'm a little hyper, so I go to the store.
Okay.
So in between all of this, there was this couple that had bought a house on North Bay Road.
Okay.
They really inherited the house, so they bought it
Beautiful
for
area in Miami Beach.
waterfront
Right.
home.
Right.
And I happened to live in that northern end of Miami Beach where Pine Tree and North Bay Road sort of merged together. And we met, and they bought the house from the estate. And you'd run into them walking your dog every day, and I call them the Beverly Hillbillies.
Okay.
And you know, she'd pick your brain. Do I get a fridge big enough to fit a pizza box? I mean, I had never been asked that, but yeah, for sure, a fridge, big pizza box, why not? And do I get, you know, a tree that has flowers? So every day, for 4 or 5 years, and don't worry, Esther, I'm going to give you the house when I have it. She actually gave me some cool clothes that she found in a box.
Okay.
Like she found all these like gowns that her aunt had. And she knows like I like all this weird clothes.
Okay.
So she gave me like a box of clothes. That's the most I got out of that deal.
Okay.
And when the time comes to put the house on the market, and I told her, don't list the house for, you know, $7 million, it's a $6 million house, you're gonna waste time, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. She gives it to somebody that comes into town from like one of the New York companies, Douglas Elliman,
Okay.
Keller Williams, one of those that
Okay.
claims to say that we find the clients in the Hamptons and
Okay.
we bring them to Miami.
Okay.
And I said, that's bullshit. And sure enough, the person that bought it was, you know, some neighbor down the street that sold the company and, you know, nobody from New
millions,
York.
right,
And that was
right.
a year later. And she did sell it for $6 million. And something must have gone wrong. I don't know what went wrong.
Okay.
But here I am sitting at the store at Las Tias in my little corner there, doing my thing. And in she walks with a husband. She didn't know it was my store. She said, Esther! Da-da-da-da-da, hi. She goes, you know, you were right. I said, honey, right doesn't pay my mortgage.
Okay.
So those are the failures.
Right.
Although that is a huge success and you have no idea how many people have come to me after the fact to say you were right. Because, you know, if your house is worth $7 million and you want 10, don't call me. I don't have time to waste. I don't want it. When you go through the year of 10, you go through the year of 9, you go through the year of 8, call me. Ron Sheffield says the best position to ever be in is, I got to get this right, the firstborn, the second wife, and the third realtor.
Yeah. I was doing an event actually for your company. And one of the brokers said that, you know, the first child, the second wife, and the third realtor.
Right.
The third one is the one who gets lucky, says Jeff Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually.
But you know, these people
Right.
are crazy sometimes.
Right.
And then the brokers come in and take the listing.
Right.
And listen, I'm not putting that down. There's a science, and a lot of times you could hammer them down over the year.
Right.
But who has that energy?
Exactly.
You're dealing first with
You
a
don't
client
want a
that's
listing, you want a property that you can sell and
Right.
help your client. That
Right.
is so and so many agents just get the listing and then go through the hassle with
It's
the
draining.
client.
It's
just
draining.
Just get a property that you can truly sell and have a happy client.
Or wait,
It's just-
or forget about it. The work, like
Exactly.
this person calling you, you're not showing it. The
Right?
offers are.
It's just too much pressure. Now, a success, that's a great quote unquote failure and then learning experience. It's just work with clients. That
Listen,
want
you're
a
gonna
property.
work them a lot, and
Right.
sometimes they're gonna let you down because somebody walked in on the right day
Right.
and
Well,
sold them
that
something.
happens, but
And those
from
are
time
the
to time.
failures. But
Right.
at the end,
What
it's
about,
good to know you were right.
What about some of the success stories and what do you one success story and what do you learn from that specific experience? One in particular.
It's very funny that you say that because every one of them is sort of a success story.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to tell you that the most recent success story, I had an assistant for many years, and like 15 years, and then she had.
Is it possible to become a top producer without a team, without an assistant, by yourself?
Yeah, I
And
guess.
is it-
Well, it was
Is
by
it,
my.
is
most
it worth
of
it? Is it worth it?
Yeah, most of the. Well, when we started, it was us by ourselves all
Okay.
the time.
And now in 2015, is it worth it? When there is so much, so many people being experts in one thing and so many people doing things right, is it worth it to do it on your own?
I think you still can. I think it's really, I was doing it until I've always had like an assistant
Right,
that's like
somebody
my
loved it, right?
showing, and then an associate,
Mhm.
and then our secretary.
Mhm.
But now the teams are growing, and
Right.
like for example, my friends' kids come to me to like, I want to get into real estate. What do I do? Blah blah blah. And then that's how Jason came to my team.
Right.
Like I grew up with his father, and
Okay.
when he went from management at Ritz Carlton to like, I don't want to be in a
In a development,
in a
right,
hotel
right,
chain
right,
30
right.
years from now, and he came to talk to me. He ended up in my team. I didn't even think of forming a team,
And
but
that's his name is Jason.
Jason.
So when you have a new agent that joins your team or somebody in EWM, a very successful company, that they look up to you, and let's say I'm a new agent, what would you tell a new agent? Or what advice would you give a new agent?
Well, it's funny because Jason, let me say his last name. His name is Jason Zarko.
Mm-hmm.
Jason,
What advice would you give to
I'm
that
gonna,
person?
you can't predict,
Mhm.
and I hate plan, and I hate doing like New Year's resolution,
Mhm.
because the 31st you do the resolution, and the 1st you blow it, and then the next thing is like your head is all screwed up and you're all depressed because you
Same,
blew
yeah.
the resolution that you made 2 hours ago. So on that basis,
Mhm.
my vision for Jason
Okay.
when he came in
Okay.
was, Jason's father lives on North Bay Road. Jason grew up on North Bay Road. His uncle's on North Bay Road. His grandmother's on Biscayne Point. We're going to go in. We're going to, work these areas, blah, blah, blah. But Jason came from the hotel world
Mm-hmm.
of, young guy, 8 years, very successful, Ritz Carlton, New York City, Miami. And all of a sudden, Jason found a niche, or should I say a niche found Jason.
Okay.
Okay?
Very
So
important.
while we were all thinking residential and this,
Very.
Jason fell into a niche of, he just sold the Marlin Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for another hotel, who my French client that I told you about, I'm going to hook him up because she owns a hotel. So I help him out with my connections, what I know. He has sold houses, and we all help each other out. Like today.
But it's the key point is finding a niche, finding a specific
But you see, the
target
niche
audience.
found him, and,
Right.
and he was
But everybody has something different. Everybody is surrounded by different
his knowledge. He
experiences,
starts talking hotel conversation, and I'm like, what? The rooms, the keys, the return, papala. What?
Right.
Now, I also come into him and I say to him something like, whatever, generator, seawall, whatever words. And so he learns from me. I learn from him.
Right.
He benefits from my connections. I help him out. And this morning, for example, I have a client that needs to know how many boats he can park on a dock
Okay.
perpendicular. I don't know.
Okay. Definitely. Yeah.
So Jason, whose uncle has a boat, whose boat has a captain, helped me.
Okay.
I mean, could I have found the guy? So it's little things. It's little things that we help each other. So like today, when I was telling him about this girl in the hotel, and he told me, I told him there's another hotel that I know. So
would you say it's important to join a team when you are?
I think it's really difficult.
Uh-huh.
It isn't important, but you know what it is? I think there's a whole new generation that wants instant gratification.
Right.
They all want to be
that's
stars.
amazing. Right.
Everybody's going to be
You
a
gotta
rapper.
pay your
Everybody's going to
dues,
be a
you gotta
star.
prepare. Right.
And nobody really works hard.
Right.
I find like this whole new generation of 20s, teens, there's no work ethics. So when you come into a market, no matter what it is, whether you're selling apples, coffee, or real estate, they all want to come and start selling $20 million.
You can't do that at the beginning.
And
it's
there's
not
still
going to happen.
a huge market of, you can make a lot of money.
200, 300,000.
200,
Of
300,
course.
huge market.
Oh, great point. Excellent point.
So,
And then it's a progress. You progress. You grow into that market eventually if you keep working hard on it. Right?
yeah.
Perfect. So what advice would you give now a seasoned real estate agent, an experienced agent? And the few minutes we have left.
The experienced agents have they need to be nice.
Okay.
Listen, everybody's nice to me,
Okay.
and they roll out the red carpet,
Uh-huh.
just like I roll out the red carpet.
Okay.
But I roll out the red carpet at all levels.
Okay.
And so I think that, some of these experienced agents get a little greedy, get a little mean, bullying, and that's not what it's about.
Right.
And nowadays, a lot of the buyers are doing their own research online. They don't need us as much as they used to.
Exactly.
And so you find that some broker you've never heard of from Timbuktu is calling you on a $30 million house. And yes, because we're seasoned veterans, and yes, because we've been around, you have to try to find out who's coming in, because like I said to you, there's a lot of people that come to this town that, profess to be something they're not. And that young agent may not know it.
Right.
But having said that, that young agent may also be the cousin or the nephew of this very wealthy man who said, go find me, get me into the $30 million Star Island house.
Right.
And so you find more and more that some of these sales are done with people you don't know. And I find that a lot of the younger agents that come to me, and listen, they know I talk to them, and they're a little lost. I always tell them, start small and focus. Focus in one building.
See,
focus in 2 blocks.
beautiful.
2 blocks. Take a little
That's
block.
what we say to all of our agents is clarity, simplicity, and focus. You have those 3 things, and you'll be fine in real estate.
You have
great.
4 blocks. Walk your block,
Exactly.
and walk your dog, ride your
Position
bike.
yourself.
Just
Exactly.
those 4 blocks.
That's it.
Miami Beach is huge.
Right.
You start with 4 blocks. You start with one little island. You start with one little building.
Right. Excellent advice.
And-
Excellent advice.
The older agents have to be nice. I feel
Right.
bad for the young kids, and you don't know how many times that I've got a couple of young people in my team that sometimes I'm the one that has to call and say, what's the problem?
Right.
Like,
Now they answer the phone. One last question before we go. I know we gotta go. One daily activity, habit that you have, that you do every single day to become so successful in real estate. Anything in particular?
Well, I try to, I try to answer all my emails, which is getting harder and harder.
Okay.
I try to be right on the ball and respond.
Uh-huh.
What I started saying at the beginning is that today, with the world and the way communications are, people are doing business all over the world 24 hours a day. Like, I have these clients from Britain, and I go, don't you ever sleep?
Right.
Because they'll be sending you like an email at 1, at 3, at 4, they're here, they're
At
there,
any
they're
time,
everywhere.
right, yeah.
And so, you got to respond, and these are people that are busy. They're doing 100 things. They got 100 balls up in the air, and you're just one more ball. So, stay on their radar. You got to stay on the radar,
Right.
and you got to respond, and you got to know, and if you don't know, you should say, I don't know.
Exactly.
Never make it up. And listen, we can look up anything today, right? It used to
Thank
be a
you
lot
to the
harder.
internet. When I was interviewing Nelson, he was telling me about the black book with the MLS and all the properties for sale.
Oh my God, the blue book, the blue book.
Right, he was telling me
Yeah,
that.
it was the blue
Right,
book. But now
right.
it's like you can look up anything.
Right.
So, you know, you have to be confident to say, I don't know.
Exactly.
And I have to tell you, you have to be honest, because that is what is also very difficult in the business. And what I'll say to a new agent and to an old agent, guys, tell the truth. You have no idea how quickly a lie turns into a lie.
Exactly.
You know, am I the only offer? Are there other offers? The other day I was talking to a guy, no, I'm going to meet with a client. I'm going to go at 1. I'm going to go at 3. And of course the text, can you talk? Can you talk? Because he couldn't talk. Then when he talked, it was 11. Then when he talked, 4 hours later, I'll call you in 1 hour. How busy are you? I'm bringing you a $3 million offer. What the fuck, you know? So by the time it gets to 3 o'clock, it's like, no, we have multiple offers. I said, oh, honey, you didn't tell me that. You're not talking clearly. So you know what he says? I think I was in a place where there was bad reception.
Yeah, right. In my all right. So that's.
So you know, you gotta talk clearly because why not? Tell me there's multiple offers at 11. Don't wait till 3 when you look like an idiot. I look like an idiot, and my client is upset. And maybe if you talk clearly to me, my client might be your top offer and your highest paying client. But then again, you don't know what's behind the scene. Maybe he has his own deal. Maybe he doesn't want to cooperate. Listen, but everything comes out at the end.
Right.
And at the end, you find out, why were you such an idiot?
Exactly.
And so you have to really do the right thing. Always do the right thing.
Esther, it's been a true pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to interview you, for being in your beautiful building today.
Thank you.
And until next time, guys, have a very, very productive day. Take care.